You are listening to Technically Learning with Jennifer Castro, and I'm your host, Jen Castro. Today's episode was recorded on April 1st, 2020, and published on April 6th, 2020. We are talking today with teacher Gwenn Burgard about her triumphs and struggles with distance learning. Welcome to my third episode of Technically Learning. We are basically in the third week of social distancing due to the coronavirus. Several school districts are now making the move to distance learning after giving teachers a week or two to prepare. Today I'm here with teacher Gwenn Burgard. She teaches fourth grade gifted students in Central Florida and teaches all subjects to the same 19 kids all day. She has a bachelor's degree in elementary education from the University of Central Florida and is currently pursuing a master's in educational leadership there too. This is her third year of teaching and she has only taught this grade. Gwenn and I are connected in many ways and our families are very close. We've spent holidays and special occasions together and now have the connection of both being teachers. Thanks for talking with me today, Gwenn.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
I'm so excited to talk with another teacher about this entire process because I know it's new for many of us.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just jump right in. I think your school district and state made the decision to shut down schools around the 13th of March. How did you react?
So that day was actually a teacher work day for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last time I saw my students was the day before, and that's when we said goodbye for spring break. And so we were told in a meeting, which my grade level has our meetings at the very end of the day. So in our meeting that Thursday, we were told at the very end, right before the bell rang, by the way, there's a chance that we may not be coming back when we're supposed to.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. And that's all we were told at that point. So that was kind of a big shock because then I was, given that bomb.
Right.
And went and had to say bye to my kids. Bye, have a great spring break. Bye, I'll see you soon. And there's nothing else that I could tell them at that point because we weren't even told anything official. It was kind of just a hey, by the way kind of thing.
Okay. So you found out the next day during your teacher work day that you were going to not return after spring break. So did you talk with your students at all after that announcement?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And it wasn't even announced during teacher workday hours.
Okay.
I went in for the whole teacher workday and was tidying up and grading up papers for the third quarter because that was the closure of the third quarter. Mm-hmm. And luckily I grabbed a couple of extra things thinking, just in case I might not come back for a while. So I packed everything up and then I went to celebrate my mom's birthday dinner. And at the birthday dinner, I got an email saying spring break has been extended until this date. That's the way we were told.
What day did they say it was extended until?
It was a week after. I'm not sure exactly what day it was, but it was saying that it's been extended by a week.
Okay. So basically you were going to get 2 weeks for spring break.
Exactly. That's the way that it was worded to us.
Okay. When did your school district or state decide to start distance learning then?
The week after that. So our spring break was supposed to be from March 13th for the students all the way until the 23rd is when we were supposed to go back.
Okay.
But we were told it was extended until the 30th.
Right.
And at that point, that's the actual first day that we started our online learning. During the week of the 23rd to the 27th, when students were actually supposed to be in school, they were given optional materials to do at home with their families with no teacher instruction, but teachers didn't actually go live online until 2 days ago, the 30th.
Okay. Did the district give you any sort of training or preparation or any sort of instruction on how you were supposed to go online or to start the distance teaching this past Monday?
Well, they gave us a good amount of optional training. And I personally did not attend any of the optional training because I've been to a couple professional developments on the resources that we are utilizing to give our students this instruction.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm using Canvas,
Mm-hmm.
which is the same platform I use for UCF.
Right.
And I know a lot of other colleges use that same platform. And I've already used it in my classroom a little bit. So I was comfortable without those optional training sessions, but I do know coworkers of mine who did attend those.
How is your district or state handling students who do not have internet or a computer?
I was really curious how that was going to work as well. However, because I work in a Title I school, so 50% or more of my students are on free or reduced lunch, they kind of have first pick on, not first pick, but they're the first population that's allowed to go in and pick up devices and check them out. Per student or per family in the county, they're only allowing one computer to be checked out. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. So if a family has 5 kids, they can only check out one computer.
Wow.
And then they have to stagger everything out.
That's interesting. I had not heard that one before.
Yes, I've already run into a couple problems with that, which is why I decided to not do any live lessons as a requirement.
That makes sense. Outside of district training, how have you prepared for distance learning?
I familiarized myself with Google Meet or Google Hangout. I'm not sure what exactly it's referred to. So I know how to webcam chat with my students through our Google Drive, because we're given a Google Drive. That's one of the online resources we have through our online platform.
Okay.
So I've been becoming familiar with that. I've just been using spreadsheets to get organized, and I've been collaborating a lot with my coworkers through Google Meets to plan our lessons. So across our entire grade level, every single course looks the exact same, besides a couple of tweaks on my end because I do teach the gifted students.
Okay, interesting. So what are your tweaks then?
So I've just added a couple of challenge pages in math and a couple of optional links to experiments in science. And then in reading, for the independent reading log, usually in regular school, we are required to have students fill out a reading log. So we have to do an online one as well. So instead of just having it be, what book did you read? It's, what book did you read? What page did you start on? What page did you end on? For some more accountability. And then the last question is, what's the most interesting thing that you read so far?
Oh.
So it's just a little bit more, because I know that my kids they try to be a little sneaky because they tend to think they can outsmart me. And, sometimes they can.
Sure.
But this time they can't.
Okay. Well, it sounds like there's a little more accountability worked into it.
Yes, definitely.
This past Monday, March 30th, was your first day of distance learning. That was 2 days ago. How did your first day go?
It was very exhausting. I know a couple of people who have desk jobs, and I don't want to say I looked down on what they did by any means, but I did not think it was a difficult thing to do, to be, sitting down your whole day, but it definitely is. So that's one thing I learned the very first day. And then I found that it is not as easy to get in contact with families as I originally thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I made an entire schedule. So the way that I decided to reach out to my families is by sending an email and having them fill out a Google form.
Okay.
Because my county is requiring teachers to spend at least 15 minutes with each student twice a week.
Okay.
In student interaction. So whether that's through email, whether that's through a phone call or a text message even, or a webcam chat, that's what we're required. So I decided to make a Google form and have the parents fill out certain time slots where they would be available. And then I made a schedule based off that. So everything is super organized on my end. But then when Monday morning came, I had parents, yelling at kids, get up, your teacher's on the phone. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, hello. They're clearly still sleeping.
Right. Okay.
We're getting in the groove of things, though. It's getting better and better.
Okay.
It was just the first couple of phone calls, it was a little bit awkward because, I teach fourth graders, so they act all shy on the phone. They're like, hello? Like,
Yes.
You talk to me every day in regular school. You know my voice. It's going to be okay. It's just getting them used to it and getting them comfortable.
Right. You've talked a little bit about the technology tools that you've used, Google Meet, you're using email tools, webcams, and that kind of thing. Any other technology applications that you're using to teach?
I'm using Khan Academy for math.
Awesome.
So I've been using that to give intervention to my students who may have failed lessons on our computer program. We use iReady. So usually in school, if they miss one question on a quiz on this program, I have them raise their hand and show me their next answer. And then we discuss their answer. If it's in reading, I say, okay, show me your evidence. And then if it's in math, I say, okay, show me your work. Prove it to me. Mm-hmm. I can't do that right now because I'm not there.
Right.
So a lot of times I tell them, picture me in your head telling you these things, but not all of them are going to.
Right.
So they've been failing a couple more lessons than they would if I was there to talk with them about it. Mm-hmm. So on the lessons that they're failing, I'm finding resources to send to them. And one of the things that I'm using is Khan Academy because I can just assign them a video. I can assign them practice. On my end, I can see exactly what they entered in, if they're proficient or not, and then I can take next steps from there.
So what were your successes on your first day?
My successes were actually being able to see my students' faces. That honestly made it all worth it because I started working on Thursday. That was the day that we had to start reporting again from home, of course.
Right.
And I worked 6 hours Thursday. I worked 9 hours Friday. I worked 12 hours on Saturday. And then I worked again 6 hours on Sunday, even through the dinner that I had with my family. But Monday, it was worth it to see those kids and actually get to talk to them because that's why I do it. I want to keep helping them learn. I want to be something they actually look forward to in the midst of all this chaos that they really probably don't understand.
Right. You've just wrapped up your third day of distance teaching. What have you learned so far?
I've learned that I need to use a lot more patience.
That's the buzzword, let me tell you.
So I'm realizing that a lot of families aren't as familiar, or familiar is the word, as familiar with Canvas as I am. I feel like since I've been using it for so long, it's kind of second nature to me at this point. But a lot of times for example, their dashboard, when they open the application, their dashboard is organized by due date instead of by course cards. So it's a huge mess of all their assignments that are due in all of their courses. And then they've just been clicking through that. And I can tell based on the assignments that they've done. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the interaction that I'm doing with my students is on technology issues, but I'm really not that tech savvy. So it's a learning experience for both of us.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Oh, what's been really helpful, actually, that made me just remember another application I'm using. I'm using QuickTime on my Mac to do screen recordings. So whenever I'm realizing that 5 or 6 students are having trouble opening a social studies document, I do a nice little screen recording, and then I email it to them, and I only have to say it once.
One time, yay. Yes, I love QuickTime, and I love my Mac.
Me too.
Compared to day 1, is there anything you are doing differently on day 3?
I think that right now, since we're still in the trial period and we've kind of been given the go-ahead to not go super hard on them and kind of give it to them easy this week, I've really been focusing my talks on making sure that they know how to navigate their Canvas. And then I'm just starting with how they're doing on their iReady lessons and if they have any questions for me so far. But starting tomorrow, so not something I've started yet, I'm actually going to be giving them feedback on their Canvas assignments that they've submitted and actually talking to them about the content that they've been working on. Okay. Another thing that I've done personally for me is when it's time for me to log off and stop working, I roll my office chair into my closet, and then I put my regular chair back, and I put my computer in my backpack in my closet, and it's away, and it's done for the day, because I'm not doing another 12-hour workday on a Saturday.
Right. Are all of your students responding well to distance learning?
To me, yes. I'm not sure how that's looking at home, because I know that I've gotten a couple of parents that have been a little frustrated, but to me, the students are always like, no, I don't have any questions. And then the parents are always very grateful when I give them a little bit of guidance. I think that there is definitely an adjustment period for them. Right. I know that they're really missing their friends, and that's a really hard thing for me to hear, because there's not much that I could do to help that. Right. The only thing that I've done is, usually in my classroom, I do a classroom meeting every single day where the students go around in a circle and they share the 2 most exciting things that happened to them the day before. So I made a virtual classroom meeting, which is a discussion board, and they write 2 exciting things, and then they can respond to their friends there. But I do have to monitor that, obviously, for behavior and language and things like that.
What are your students succeeding with in distance learning so far?
A lot of them are completing their assignments and are excited about being able to email their teacher. It's a whole new concept to them.
It's funny when they finally discover that they can email you. They do get super excited about that.
I had a student today email me, why did you make me do such a long quiz, with a whole bunch of angry faces. So another struggle is, how do I relay to a 10-year-old that you need to be professional on an email?
Exactly. How are you handling students who do not log in or don't participate in the way that they're supposed to?
So I've downloaded Google Voice to my phone. It's an app where you can pick a phone number and you can call from that number and send text messages from that number. So the way my school has decided to open our lessons and then close our lessons, because of everyone's varying schedules and because of the fact that they may be sharing a device, we've decided to open up the modules on Mondays at 6 a.m. and then they're closed on Sunday at 8 p.m. So they have a long time to do it, and it's kind of at their own pace. So far I haven't had to reach out to anybody yet, because I know that the one student who has not turned in anything, I know that she's having Wi-Fi problems right now. But in the future, starting, when it gets towards the end of the week, that Friday, Saturday point, if you're not having more of your work done, Sunday is going to be a rude awakening when you have to do everything. Right. So that's when I'm going to start using Google Voice to text them and give them reminders. A few of the students that I know have been working and I think may have just accidentally skipped over assignments, I've emailed them, hey, you're missing this assignment. This is how you get to it. Please make sure you're getting to your assignments in this way to make sure you're doing them in the right order.
That's awesome. You say that you're not super techy, but it sounds like you're really using a lot of good tools.
Thank you.
Technologically. I did not say that way.
I will say that this has been such a learning experience for me, and I am enjoying it. It's definitely a challenge for me, but it's kind of forced me to become more familiar with those resources that I sat in PDs for and then never really used because I was scared and I didn't want to mess up. But now it's like, well, you have to use it. So it's been really cool.
Awesome. I think I'm understanding this correctly. You're not assessing your students yet because they haven't turned in their work until this coming Sunday. So how do you plan on assessing your students?
Well, we actually plan on assessing our students weekly.
Okay.
So we're taking 2 grades in reading/writing, 2 grades in math, 1 in social studies, and 1 in science per week.
Okay.
So in reading and math, one of the grades are going to be a completion grade, like are you actually or a participation grade, if you will. Are you active in the course? Are you doing the activities for every day, even if you're not doing them on the day that we assign them to you? And then the other grade is a quiz grade where we assess what is on their module. So although I haven't looked at how they're doing closely yet on the assignments I've given them, I have been giving them assignments on the Florida standards that I've already taught them. So it's kind of a review week, but we're still assessing them.
And will this change your grading procedures, or are those procedures gonna be similar to
It's
what
a bit
you're already
different
doing?
because we've never just had a participation grade.
True. Okay.
But the quizzes that we're using to assess at the end of the week that are based on standards and test item specs, those are very similar. The only difference is that they're online.
Okay. So, what suggestions or tips do you have for teachers who are struggling with distance learning?
I think the best thing for them to do would be to talk to their coworkers, because right now we're not getting that camaraderie that we usually get, which is what makes a school feel so warm and, like home in a way. I would say reach out to them and talk to them about their struggles, because maybe they have a strength in that area, and then maybe they're struggling with something that you could help them with as well. And also, you reach out to your district. I'm sure the district is trying as hard as possible to make sure that you feel comfortable as a teacher, because at the end of the day, it's the students that matter, and the students aren't going to get the instruction they need if the teachers aren't comfortable and prepared. So I just say don't be afraid to reach out, because there are definitely resources no matter where you teach.
Great answer. What suggestions or tips do you have for students who are struggling with distance learning?
Similar answer, honestly, reach out to your teacher, because what makes it worth it is hearing from my students. Although I hope I don't get any more angry faces in my email.
True. Good.
Like when I web chat with a student, it's completely different than when it's on the phone through Google Voice or when I'm texting them. So I say try to webcam your teacher, or ask if they can, because that's where that comfort comes from.
Okay.
Especially with all this social distancing that we're doing, we're not getting much of the human interaction that we need as humans.
Right. Absolutely. And how are you keeping yourself mentally and physically well during this time of social distancing?
That was actually a priority of mine when I started this, because I've never just not done anything. I've always been working and out of the house and in extracurriculars ever since I was, in middle school, high school.
Right.
So I have, besides putting my office chair away when it's no longer work time and creating that separation, that's number one. Besides that, I have been doing a morning routine and filling the time that I would usually spend on my way to work with things that are good for me. Like I just started meditating through this app called Headspace, and I found out that teachers get a free unlimited account if you just link your email.
Nice.
So that's a great resource. I've started doing that, which I'm still very new at it, but it's a great way to start your day. And then on my lunch break, I've been taking a 15-minute walk to see some sunlight,
Yes.
get some endorphins, maybe say hello to the person that's walking past me 6 feet away.
Right. Exactly.
And then I've just been doing workouts at home just to make sure I'm physically staying active, since I'm not running around facing kids all day.
Right. Exactly. Well, thanks so much for talking with me, Gwen. It's been great catching up too.
Same. Thank you so much for having me and talking with me.
Absolutely. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Technically Learning with Jennifer Castro. I'm Jen Castro, and I have been an educator for over 18 years, and I've taught so many subjects, but it always comes back to technology. I love it, I integrate it, and I want to share your stories of your triumphs and struggles with it. You can follow me on Instagram at technically_learning or on Twitter at JenCastro222. Our music for this episode was Sophomore Make Out by Silent Partner.